good. I haven't been live in like so long, so very long. I'm on my way to work because I have to go into the office every now and then. So what's up, y'all? I want to talk about the house of these dragons, the dragons, the dragons. So anyway, so we're gonna talk about House of Dragon. Before I do that, there's gonna be some spoilers in this video. So like, share, subscribe, uh, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, I know there was one in there. Anyway, I knew there was some in there. I haven't been on YouTube in these YouTube streets in a long time. The reason being is because I be tired. Like, y'all, this summer has been a lot. My aunt passed away. My mom just got out of the hospital. It's been a lot going on in my life personally. And then, during the summer, I'm just busy, busy, being a mom, being a super mom and traveling. And so, yeah, it's a lot. This morning, I had my McDonald's iced coffee, y'all. So, I have no makeup on. I guess I look alright, y'all. If you notice from my other videos, I have lost a lot of weight. I've been working out like a crazy person. Like this summer, when they tell me I'm getting summer fine, I might be, pushing it. But I've lost quite a little bit of weight. I've quite a bit actually. If I was in the car and I was driving, I stand up so y'all can see like the rest of me. But I've lost quite a bit of weight. You can see it in my face from my other videos. But anyway, this is just me, fresh face and plump in the morning. I'm a little plump right now. But not bad though. So we're gonna talk about House of the Dragon. What did I think about the first 3 episodes of House of the Dragon? I know the story. Again, I'm telling people that I am not a diehard Game of Thrones fan. I love the TV show. I didn't like the 8th season, just like everybody else. Matter of fact, I'm telling y'all, the last season of Game of Thrones, I did not watch it. Okay, I got to turn that off. Anyway, the last episode of the last 2 episodes of season 8 of Game of Thrones, I did not watch. Once, I'm gonna tell you what happened. Once Danny started roasting King's Landing, I honestly turned the TV off and went to sleep. Like real talk. Real talk. I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. I'm trying to make my girl out she crazy. Because I am team in House Targaryen all the way. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. But, like, literally, I'm sitting there watching the screen going, what? She burned? And yeah, I was like, yeah, she getting her enemies. And then I'm like, oh, Danny, what's going on? Oh, girl. Okay. I was like, click, out and went to bed. And I was like, I ain't dealing with this. Next morning, I watched all the shows and the reviews, and I was just like horrified. And I refused to watch anymore. I was like, I'm done. I still ain't watched it. I have seen snippets of it. I did read the synopsis. I have watched her speech, which I loved her speech. How she got up there and delivered her semi Third Reich speech. But I liked it. I thought it was very powerful visuals. But I'm like, that's not Danny. That's what are y'all doing? That's not Danny. Anyway, I could go on and on about that, but I won't. So, yeah, I'm still bitter, but I'm not that bitter. So when they announced House of the Dragon, let me tell you something, because I am here for the haters. I'm here for you Ring of Power haters. I'm here for you House of Dragon haters. I'm here for all of y'all. By the way, we're not talking about Rings of Power right now. That's another video. By the way, Rings of Power, 25 million viewers. So either a lot of y'all hate watching, a lot of y'all, the first couple of episodes, I'm sure it's going to get a lot of curiosity, a lot of views. So we'll see how this third and the fourth and the future episodes do. But it's only 8 episode show. I like Rings of Power. It's different than House of the Dragon. It's like Star Wars and Star Trek to me, baby. I like both. You don't have to choose either or. You have to pit them against each other. Just enjoy it for what it is. House of the Dragon is gritty and sexy and adult, and Lord of the Rings is very like highbrow and ethereal, and I enjoy it. And again, for somebody, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not a diehard fan. I'm a diehard fan. Like Star Wars is what who I am and what I do as a person, so to speak, figuratively speaking. But I never heard of Game of Thrones before the show came out. I didn't know what I was watching. I was like, what am I watching? What is happening? What is going on? Did they push a kid out the window? Are they brother and sister? They doing it with each other? Oh, snap. What kind of show is what? I'm like, what am I watching right now? So, yeah, when I first watched Game of Thrones, I was like, what? I had no idea there was books and all that and people, book readers. Again, fantasy is not my thing. You want to talk about science fiction books, and I've read tons. Fantasy? Yeah, okay. The reason why I've read JRRT is because I read it in college. I actually did a thesis on Middle Earth because I took a class on English literature, fantasies, and myths. So for all these people out here who are like, you don't know what you're talking about. Bitch, I wrote a whole thesis on it, okay? I went to college. I'm not some 30-year-old who hit puberty 20 years ago when Lord of the Rings came out. Okay, I'm full past puberty. I'm way past. I was in my 20s when the first Lord of the Rings came out. And there's a bit of revisionist history because before it came out, this is before the internet and social media, I promise you stupid fanboys wouldn't have liked Peter Jackson either. Y'all would have been hating on Peter Jackson too, because Peter Jackson did change some things, and the fanboys back then tried it, but then once it came out, and everyone was like, it's okay. Then everybody fell in line. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I won't get into Rings of Power because that just irks me. The revisionist history around the great and mighty Lord of the Rings, because again, revisionist history. People didn't like it until all the casual fans, it came out, it was stunning, it was beautiful, it shut all the book readers up, and then people were like, I love it so much, even though I've never read the books, and I've never heard of J.R.R. Tolkien, I don't know who that is. So yeah, so I'll go in on people because I don't like fandom gatekeeping. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, House of the Dragon, I know the lore. I know a lot of Game of Thrones lore, so I'm not really a casual fan because I know the lore. I have read that one book, that House of the Dragon is based on, but I'm not, like I said, fantasy is I like it, but it's not like something that, like, it's not science fiction to me. Science fiction is much more speaks to me. But I would say the first 3 episodes of House of the Dragon, there were so many haters who were like, they weren't going to watch this show. They can't believe HBO is doing this show. It's a money grab. Oh my God, I'm not going to watch this. I'm not even going to pay attention to this. This is not even going to be good. These people are now making videos about, this show is amazing. Oh, so you're not going to touch on what you said a year ago? The only person I've seen that I know of that didn't like the idea of House of the Dragon, that thought it was going to be crap, and then came back and said, I was wrong, was Quinn Howard, who does Quinn ideas. Quinn, I love Quinn. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe to this channel. Quinn is amazing. And he's the only one that came out and said, okay, I was wrong. House of the Dragon is amazing. They've done a really good job. All the rest of these people who came out and talk all that shit, now they're either not saying anything or they just want to pretend that they didn't say anything. Now they're like, oh, this show's amazing. This show's great. And all the people who talk shit, because George R. Martin, who executive produced the show, who signed off on this show, who helped write parts and lead this show, with Ryan Condon and Sapotnik, Miguel Sapotnik, but he's leaving though. Um, and they were upset because Corliss Valerian was black. I was like, it's George R. R. Martin. If he wants to hold damn, if he want to come back and say all Targaryens are black people, look, I'm like, who am I to question this? It's his vision. It's his property. If they come to him and give him an idea, and he's like, okay, cool, I'm cool with it, or no, I'm not cool with it, and he came online and said he was shocked that people were upset that Corliss Valerian was gonna be played by a black actor in the backlash to that. Even George R. R. Martin was like, "What?" It's like he was like, "What?" Like he didn't think that people was gonna be so crazy. Like, but people underestimate racists. So I guess, and especially sci-fi fans, y'all not that bad. But the ones in the fantasy community, y'all on some other. Yeah, and then that's the same thing about Neil Gaiman, which is not sci-fi but more like fantasy comic book elements. He had his hand in Sandman, which Sandman, if you have not seen Sandman on Netflix, please, I read Sandman back in the 90s. Sandman was epically wonderful. I did not like the trailers. Everybody's like, what do you think about Sandman, Kiki? I'm like, me. I mean, based on the trailers, I was like, it's alright. You know, the trailers did not do that show justice. I was like, I'll watch it. I didn't think, I was like, it looks okay, but it wasn't like something like, ooh, yeah, I really got to watch this. And Sandman was fantastic. It cost a whole heck of a lot of money. They haven't announced the second season yet, but people were on there sending Neil Gaiman hate emails and telling Neil Gaiman because they decided to make some characters queer, make some characters androgynous, make some characters of color. Neil Gaiman was like, okay, sure, let's do it. Like, he had to address the situation and was like, I wrote this, I made this. How is fans going to tell this man what he can do with his own intellectual property? Well, no, we don't want diversity. He's like, I don't have an issue with them making characters black or them changing. He was like, okay. Like, I think he was blindsided by it too, by people telling him what he could do with something that he created in his own mind, that he's the creator of it. You're going to tell the creator, well, we're going to make a show, but, you know, these characters can't be people of color because you, obviously, even though you're the creator and the writer and you're involved heavily in the show, you can't make any changes because I'm a racist and I want you, and I have these characters pictured in my head as white people, even though the themes of Neil Gaiman's work is very heavily borrowed from ancient scripts, ancient religions that are not Christian. I've read American Gods. I loved American Gods. Anyway, I won't get into like the themes of Sandman and how it has influence from Eastern religions and again Christianity, Eastern religions, African mythos. I mean, I could do a whole thesis on that. Oh wait, I have. So yeah, I did a paper on Neil Gaiman, but and how his the religious influence. But anyway, so people were all upset over House Dragon because they got like a black house, I guess, House Valerian, right on, shout out, stay black. But people were upset about that. People said horrible things online. My friend Tony Teflon, on his channel, he did a whole video about that, going in how it's gonna ruin the show. And then when the show come out, guess who's one of the best characters that people like? They like Daemon Targaryen, they like Rhaenyra, and they like Corliss Valerian. Corliss is cool. Corliss was swinging the axe in that last episode. Him and his wife is cool. His whole house is cool. His whole look is cool. So people are like, I mean, I don't know what people are thinking when you put black people in fantasy shows. Like, oh, this is good. After 10 minutes, if you still notice, you might be a racist. But I'm watching shows and there's characters of people of color. After 10, 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's like, what were you thinking? He was going to show up going, I'm Corliss Valerian. What's up, yo? I mean, this is a classically trained English actor. He has a commanding presence. He fits right in. You know, again, I have to check people and be like, if you're talking about medieval history, Medieval history is full of revisionist history. They were people of color all in Spain. If you watch, I watch a lot of medieval shows, and they're finally, like, I watch Becoming Elizabeth, and they're finally starting to be historically accurate, because I'm like, y'all think, well, medieval history, have you studied medieval history, or are you watching TV shows? Because I tell people, uh TV shows and movies is not real history. It's just not. It's TV shows, it's movies. People are watching Rome and thinking that's how more Rome really was. Rome was very diverse. Oh, hey, oh, what pulls my teeth, what's up? Where I'm talking about, I know I've been gone. My aunt died this summer, and then my mom was in the hospital. So it's been an eventful summer. But I'm back. But I'm talking about House of the Dragon because I love sci-fi. But like, yeah, like I was saying, is that people don't know medieval history. If you get a chance, please. There's a different authors who've written it, English authors who've written about Africans in medieval Europe. There's a bunch of there's whole YouTube videos. There's philosophers who've really written about. Oh, thank you. What pulls my teeth? I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an interesting time. But thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm on my way to work, trying not to kill nobody, kill myself. But I'm stuck in traffic right now. But there's whole books. There are whole books. God, I've seen like 6 accidents so far. But there are whole books. There's whole write-ups. There's whole thesis. There's scholars, learned, really learned, smart people, way smarter than me, who've written whole books and everything about black people and Africans in medieval Europe. So the idea that people have watched way too many TV shows and thinking that, but in medieval Europe and during that time, it was not really a big deal to see an African. Like, I'm like, do you think people just stayed in their own little countries? Like, there's English sailors that sailed to Africa and Arabia and the Middle East. They brought back all kinds of people with them, not just slaves, but brought people back as servants. There were sailors during medieval Europe that sailed the seas that were of African and Arab descent. Spanish, Spain, 90 most Spanish and people are Spain. They have Arab and African ancestry. That's just a fact. I know that for a fact, just family wise. Anyway, long story, but I know that for a fact. Um, it's like you're if you look at the map of the Middle East, North Africa, and Greek, the Greek, the Greek, where Greece is and where Italy is. There's no way. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of seafaring people during that time. It's just this is not me making up things. This is straight up history. And the thing about it is, it's been left out of history. People try to kind of write it off and be like, well, but yes, there are even medieval paintings or paintings in the 1300s where you see pages in the back who are brown skinned people. So the idea that medieval world was just a bunch of Europeans and no people of color is just something that people have. It's ignored in the history books that you learn in school, and then a lot of people watching TV shows and movies about Queen Elizabeth and about all this stuff, and they're taking TV interpretations as historical fact, and it's not, and it's not historical accuracy. The biggest travesty, I would say, let me get off my soapbox, but the biggest travesty I could say about the way history is depicted is Rome, because Rome literally was probably one of the most diverse countries on the planet. The idea of being a Roman was is the language you spoke, how you dressed, what you ate, where you were born, yada yada yada. It was not a bunch of English speaking white people with bowl haircuts. That's just the Italians themselves are, if you do look at DNA, they're an admixture of a bunch of things, especially a lot of North African. And it's just DNA, like I tell people, DNA don't lie. We are all an admixture of many different things. But if you're going by areas, which I love DNA and genealogy, people have intermixed and got busy and had children since the dawn of time, and the idea, like I said, the Rome thing burns me up because I'm like, there were North African soldiers in Rome. There was like at one time Rome and they had an African emperor. Like he was from North Africa. Like I'm just like, we just gonna ignore that. But again, like I said, TV shows. My phone going off, y'all. Just stop it. Stop. Get help. Tell my phone. Stop. Get help. But somebody's charging PayPal or something. But yeah, I get burnt up. The history thing just makes me angry because I love history. I'm a student of history. I'm a student of literature and history. And it just, when people online are like, House of the Dragon and Rings of Power is supposed to be about medieval history. I was like, okay, black people, we were there too. Like, we just all in, we weren't slavery. You know, I tell people, look up the history of races, like how race was created. But I'm really getting real deep. But race, the notion of black and white and Caucasian, the whole world, the word Caucasian and all that, people thought that up. People was like, oh, what country are you from? Are you Irish? Are you English? Are you German? Are you a Moor? Are you? That was what it was. It wasn't like, oh, this black person over here. That was, the whole race thing was just invented. It was, the whole thing about being white, that was never really a thing. You were British, you were Britain. You were you from France. You were a nationality and a language, not really like a color. That's just something that people just made that shit up in order to enslave people and take advantage of people. Yes, our history is so much more richer than slavery. Our history didn't begin in 1619 like, oh, well, we here in America. No, I'm like, and I have to tell people, like, again, we supposed to be talking about House of Dragon, but y'all know I was going to go off on a tangent because I like to go off on it. And the thing about it is that black people in America, I keep telling black people, we can go somewhere else and they're black people like, where are we going to go? Baby, black people are everywhere. Black people are in China. Black people are not just in the Caribbean and in Africa and in America and the UK. Black people, we are literally everywhere. Like there's, I can't think of there are even black people in Scandinavia and Sweden. So, yeah. Like let white people tell it and like I said, y'all been watching way too much damn TV. Where y'all see these TV shows where the background characters and the foreground characters are nothing but a bunch of white people. Honey, when you go to other countries, if you travel, I've traveled, you will be shocked. You will be traveling going, there are black people here too. There are black people everywhere. Like when the Ukraine war popped off and people saw all them brown people were like, there are black people in Ukraine. Baby, there are black people all over Europe. Not just England, not just France, not just Germany. There's black people in the Ukraine. Russia has African immigrants. Like, y'all, 30% of Russia is immigrants. Like from other countries, from Asia, from China, from all over. Don't let these TV shows get y'all minds warped. We are everywhere. Like, where can we go? The whole damn world. Like, we can really go if you got the money and the means. You can go and live wherever you want to live. It just depends on what vibe and what you're looking for. But don't let people tell you that our history began just because we were enslaved. We had whole civilizations and people, and we traded with people from all over the world. Before slavery, before people had a notion of being racist, people trade with Arab traders. They trade with North African traders. They trade with people all over. So the idea that medieval history, somehow black people were sitting around in huts during the 1400s, that's a lie. It's a lie. Right? We're not exclusive to Africa. We black people, we worldwide. There's black people in Brazil. There's a whole Afro-Cuban. There's a whole black Brazilian contingency. I tell people we everywhere. There's not a country. There's almost not a country on the planet, I think, where there's not some sort of black people. And so, but just like I said, people let TV and movies kind of like warp, they twist they notions of, well, we can't go here because there's no black people here. There are black people. I tell people there are black people, and then I tell people to define black, because to me we all black. To me, we all come from Mother Africa. We all black. I mean, even if your skin is white, to me, we're all African. I should say we're all African, because the notion of black and white is different in every country too. Like in the South African, there's colored people. It's not just like I have friends like my kids would be considered white in other places because America has a history of slavery and a one drop rule where you have one drop of black, you black. My kids would go to Brazil and they would be considered Spanish. My kids would go to South Africa, they would be considered colored. My kids would go to England and the UK, they would be considered mixed race. Because mixed race is a whole classification within itself, in certain countries. And so I said, you're black just depending on where you're at. I have friends who are black, who are not biracial, who've gone to other countries, like Spanish speaking countries like Costa Rica, and they're like, you're not black, you're Afro Latino, and they're like, no, I'm from America, and they like, well, you can't be black. Yeah, honey, I'm black. Like, no, you're not black, because they were light skinned black person. You're not black. And I was like, black is subjective. It just depends on where you at. So, or what is black? It's not something that people can even define. Like some countries, if you're not African, you're not really black. I mean, I was like, it all just depends on where you're at. So, that depends. So anyway, back to what I was saying about the House of the Dragon, about people freaking out about Corliss Valerian, who's one of the coolest characters in the whole damn show. And one of my favorites. And people throw shade, and now there's people are quiet. Because it's no big deal. Same thing about Lord of the Rings of Power. After 10-15 minutes, you're like, okay. Like, I mean, most people are like, we didn't want these black people in Lord of the Rings. We didn't want these black people. And then they like, oh, well, the best characters is the black elf. Like, he acts more elf than the rest of them. Really? Y'all didn't send hate mail to the sexy black elf. I forgot his name. It's Cordova. Oh, he's stationed in Brazil and he's living his best life because they swear he's Colombian and not black. Right. In Colombia, that's another place where if you're light-skinned or you have certain facial features, they're like, oh, you're not black. They treat you a whole different way. I said, only in America where you take somebody that is really light, like my children who are biracial, and then all of a sudden, somehow that their whiteness doesn't count. Like somehow that they're my kids, my late husband doesn't count apparently. Like, oh, you're black. My kids would go any place else on earth and they would be considered other. They could be considered Spanish. They would be considered Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Colombian, Afro-Cuban. They would look at them and if they didn't know their language or where they were from, they would just assume that they were native one of them, or they would be considered Indian. Like I know in Mexico, my kids would be looked at. They would look at them as like Mexican, but even though they're not. I mean, well, my daughter is partially. But looking at my kids, they would be like, "Oh, well, you're one of you're native. Like, are you Indian?" Like they wouldn't really know what they were. So I just find it hilarious that in this country that you're pigeonholed and I said black people need to free their mind. They can be whatever they want to be. But the shock that I've had for somebody who's in the sci-fi community is the level of racism in the sci-fi and the fantasy community that I had no idea exists. I've been going to conventions. Yeah, the films had no people of color. And I keep telling people that 21 years ago, you could get away with that. But I keep telling people, you can't get away with that now. Why? Because people of color, first of all, there's just so much content out there. There's so much competition. There's so much content. Netflix, you have all these streaming channels with all this content. So TV shows and streamers are in a competition to get eyeballs on their stuff, right? So there's so much out there. So they're in competition. Sometimes, Netflix is in competition with itself sometimes. I was like, damn. But it's to the point where now that you have international audiences. Amazon and a lot of these streaming channels are international. They're worldwide. People worldwide are not reading American Twitter. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people worldwide are not watching YouTube. There are countries where their YouTube is blocked. There's countries where Twitter is blocked. So whatever fanboy has to say or whatever I have to say on here, it may reach people in America, but not people worldwide. people who are making these shows understand that, okay, you cannot, regardless of what the source material is. Yeah, House of Dragon is good. Regardless of what the source material is, you have to diversify it up, because people of color, we not checking for that no more. I'm not gonna, my kids, especially the younger generation, my kids are not gonna sit up here and watch an all white show with no people of color in it. I'm just gonna say it again for the people in the back. The younger generations, even the white kids, think it's weird to watch a show where, unless it's a historical show, but to watch a fantasy or a sci-fi show where there's no people of color. My kids is like, that's weird. This whole show, and then there's not one black elf here. My daughter watched Lord of the Rings, love Lord of the Rings. She's watching it going, there are no brown people that look like me. Okay, she's like, okay, this is cool. I'm interested. This is a great story. But people of color are not checking for that anymore, because we can go watch other things that do have a diverse cast. And so, regardless of whether people want to acknowledge it or not, but people like to see themselves in the things that they consume, and things that they watch. This isn't 20 years ago. This isn't 30 years ago where you could get away with having shows with all white casts. Times have changed. And so these people making these shows understand, when you're marketing to an international audience, you have to appeal to people other than just a bunch of Caucasians. I mean, it's just the truth. And people don't want to hear that. But it's a business decision. These companies aren't, oh my God, we're so into diversity and we love black people. Most of these shows are written by white people with white directors, white writers. Do you think they care about black people at the end of the day? No. They care about ratings and they care about views. And they understand that people of color, first of all, we're the global majority. I tell people, I have to back people up. Let me back you up. First of all, we're the global majority. Global majority. There are more Indians and Africans and Asians than there are Europeans on this planet. So globally, we are the majority. So when you're marketing a show, and I'm sorry, but people ain't checking for it no more. Yeah, it's like back in the 2000s, you would have there's plenty of movies my kids watch, and my kids are like, y'all watch this back in the day? There ain't no black people in this show. There ain't no colored. Who would, it's obvious to me. It wasn't obvious to me back in the 2000s, but it's obvious to me now that, yeah, you're watching shows and there's like one token black character. Or it's like I said, if it's history, European history, I get it. But fantasy characters doing fantasy things in fantasy lands and just fantasy or sci-fi. You have whole shows about the future. So and so what are you saying? There's no black people in the future? Like, I'm like, so we don't exist in the future? And like I said, in the racist white people, that's what they want to see. You can be a fan of comics. You can be a fan of sci-fi and fantasy. But God forbid we put a black person in it, and then we have a problem. I understand that you have to revise certain things, but it shouldn't change. A lot of times there's no character changes. The character hasn't changed. The storyline or the backstory, you may have to tweak that maybe sometimes, but a lot of times it's just kind of like, okay, unless the character has a certain ethnicity or a certain nationality, then I agree it shouldn't be changed, or there's a certain ingrained character. But changing one back character or adding new characters onto Rings of Power, what is, like, what were people tripping over? Like, I tell people, racism makes no logical sense. None. Logically, it makes no sense. If you think about it, if you have Middle Earth, and it's supposed to be based on Earth, so you mean to tell me that all of the events that are happening are devoid of brown people? So where did we come from? If people are like, well, Middle Earth and Arda is supposed to be like ancient Earth, a version of ancient Earth. So in this ancient Earth, all the black people were the Southlings and the Easterlings, and so we had no bearing on the part of the story. No, that speaks of what the author's own prejudices and the author's mindset. These books are written 60, 70 years ago. I'm sure J.R.R. Tolkien wasn't thinking about black folks when he's written his books. He just wasn't. And I'm tired of people pretending that, oh, well, I'm not saying the man was a racist, but he was a person of his time. People wrote fantasy books without black people in mind. They were just like, oh, we writing these fantasy books. Oh, black people? Oh, because that wasn't their reality. That wasn't their reality. So they didn't think that 60, 70 years later, okay, black people are going to be reading this. J.R.R. Tolkien did not write his books for a diverse audience. He wrote his books basically for a European English audience. Now, if you want to keep it like that, that's fine. But if you keep it like that, you're not going to make any money. There's no point of having art or literature or anything or entertainment where you're only marketing to less than half of the world, because Europeans is less than half of the world, and then all the European, not everybody likes fantasy, so that's even less than that. So you're cutting your market in half and half and half for what? To keep the purity of the source material? Like, that's just crazy to me. I'm just like, so you're doing this for what now? Because you're keeping the purity, and so you're going to alienate more than half the world? Okay, great. Because again, like I said, the unknown truth is that most people are not going to watch shows that do not have them in it. I mean, and that's just the truth. So when it comes to House of the Dragon, heck yeah, I was all for it. I was like, okay, yeah. And then people are like trying to explain it. Well, the DNA and Targaryens and the summer. Look. There's no need to explain anything. House Valerian, they black. Enough said. I mean, the idea that people were really online trying to make videos and trying to explain it, I was like, why are y'all trying to explain this? just let the races be, no matter what explanation you have. If people don't want black people in fantasy for some reason, then no matter what excuse you use, no matter if George R. R. Martin said it was cool and it was okay, and he was, like I said, again, shocked that people were this damn racist. Just no, even he coming out and explaining it, people still weren't happy. Oh yeah, like Rings of Power. It literally had like 4 black people in it, and then people were like upset, and then the 4 characters are like background side characters. Like, I was just like, so people are mad about this? It's just 4 characters out of 15 Caucasians. You got 4 black characters. People upset about that. I'm just like, okay, right. It's not like they made Galadriel black. Like, I mean, come on. They didn't. And these 4 characters were characters that were created. So they weren't like they were taking standing characters and just turning them black. So again, I still be laughing at the racists because their racism is illogical. It makes no sense. It makes no sense for me to live in Dallas, Texas. I'm in Dallas, Texas right now. For me to go to work and to me expect to go to work and it be nothing but white people. like, yeah. Yeah, 4 is too many according to them. Just four side characters who are in the background. Oh my God, that's just too many. Like, it is just illogical for me to live in a diverse world. I don't go to work and there's just nothing but white people or nothing but black people. I live in a diverse world. Most people do, unless you live in some small city, small town somewhere. Then the 2 characters we do get, they get them terrible braided wigs. Yeah, because again, on movie theaters they don't hire no black stylists. That's another issue. But that's another issue. I mean, I'm just like, can y'all please? But you know what? I'm gonna tell y'all something on the cool. I have a family member that is on a TV show right now. I won't say who. But I have a family member that's on a TV show, and he's not a big character, and he's a young man. He's a young guy. But he's one of the few. He's on a Disney show. Again, I won't say who, but he's one of the few black characters. And to be honest with you, to be a black character on an all-white show, the hair and the makeup thing is a struggle. Like, he had to bring in his own barber. And I know black actresses that he knows that had to bring in their own stylist because they have stylists that didn't know what to do with black people hair. Like literally, they had stylists with little black girls who are like, we don't know what to do. I don't know what Game of Thrones has going on, House of the Dragon. Some of the wigs I do not like. I do not like. I was like, could y'all? Child, I got wigs in my closet that look better than them wigs. Okay, I have wigs in my closet right now that look better than them wigs. I was like, what is happening? Because I mean, I'm not hating on it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying there's some hair choices made in some of these shows, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah. There's stories of that happening a lot. Yes, there is. Where they have people that don't know how to style, because they have stylists who are like, they're gonna try to style it like they do the white people hair, or they have stylists that just don't know how to do black makeup, uh don't know how to do black hair, has never done it before. And so, instead of bringing in a black stylist and being like, okay, you know what, we're gonna bring somebody in, they just kind of assume like we'll just give them the same wigs as the white people, or we just give them curly white wigs. Like I said, I'm not hating, because I'm glad to see people of color in the shows. But I do say Rings of Power, the sexy black elf, he got one hell of a fade though. That fade is working for him, baby. That, I'm telling you, girl, I'm thirst trapping on Rings of Power. What is his name? Ishmael Cruz Cordova. Oh my God, Jesus Christ Almighty! Like, I could stare. I'll be watching the show like, oh yeah, oh really? I never watched the Vampire Diaries. The actress from, oh really? Yeah, I've heard a lot of actresses speak about how they had to bring in their own makeup and hair people, because they just, and I'm telling you, a lot of, another problem in Hollywood is them not hiring black stylists. His fade is crisp, child. He got the waves. I was like, dude, he's cute. He's cute. I mean, he kind of looks like my son. He looks like a darker version of my son. So I'm just kind of like, because my mom is like, oh, it looks like Junior. I was like, okay, but I mean, kind of, but not really. My son's lighter than that, but he had that crisp fade. I said, I don't know where they get that at in Middle Earth, but boy, Middle Earth had some barbers, because it was a nice fade. Yeah, for real. He sure did, because that's a nice looking brother. Like, he is, to me, he is so pretty to look at. Like, I just stare at him like, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. I just stare going, ooh-wee. It's a thirst trap. I mean, Lord, I'm like, they thirst trapping on Rings of Power, because out of all the dudes on the show that I've seen so far, he's the best looking one. Like, he's the one I would be like, okay, yeah, all right, come on, Elf. I see why that chick fell in love with him. Child, I would have fell in love too. He's the best looking one on the show. But yeah, I tell people that, in Hollywood they need to, or they don't hire a lot of stylists of color, which is weird, because the stylists that I know can do, they don't just do black people hair, they do white people hair and black people hair. I know some stylists that specifically specialize in black hair. But I the stylists that I know, like the really really good ones, they do like, I have a friend that does makeup and hair for weddings, and her clientele is mostly white. Like, she do black people, but she do black hair. But so I'm just like, there are so many stylists out here that I know that are African American that are very versatile, and they do makeup and hair for white folks and black folks. And so I was like, they in Hollywood. I'm sure they can find a stylist that can do white and black people hair. To me, it's just, it's kind of like an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, we might need to get a black stylist to do these black Targaryens hair, because some of that hair is just like, and I understand they're supposed to be biracial, so the hair is gonna be kind of poofy, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, let's have some formation to that. Yeah, and yeah, the people that they supposed to say, yeah, let me go back to Rings of Power. Like the elves, all the elves are supposed to be like ethereal and beautiful, and the only ethereal and beautiful one is the black elf. All the rest of these people just look like regular white folks with pointy ears, and they ain't even that cute. Like Elrod, I was so disappointed, but he was in Game of Thrones. He played young Ned Stark, but I was so disappointed, because to me Elrod is supposed to be, he's supposed to be a good looking elf. Like, the elves are supposed to be ethereal and good looking. Even Galadriel. And I'm not knocking the actors, because if that was me, I would have took the part as well. But some of these actors that's supposed to be playing these elves, I'm just like, ugh, y'all ain't yikes, but in the Lord of the Rings movies, but I don't know. I like Hugo Weaving. I mean, to me, you don't have to be super super attractive, but with Amazon, it's like they spent so much money on the budget, they went cheap on the actors and the actresses, so they didn't get any stars to star in this movie. Lord of the Rings, the movie, you had Viggo Mortensen, you had Hugo Weaving, you had Ian McKellen, like you had. I mean, come on now, like, you had Elijah up in there, Elijah Wood up in there. You had really good actors. So that's what made it good. But I think the misstep for Rings of Power for me is that they didn't get better name. Well, they didn't spend some of that. I mean, come on, Amazon. Y'all spent like what, 700 million? Like there's whole countries, whole civilizations falling. Weaving is not a looker. Yes, he is not a good looking man, but I like Hugo Weaving. There's something about him that's just like, all right, Hugo Weaving, I see you. And Hugo Weaving gay. Oh, child. Like I saw him in Priscilla of the Desert. Like I saw him, and I saw him in a whole new light when he was like, wearing makeup and strutting and stuff. And I was like, oh, is he part of the LGBTQI? Okay. Yeah, they don't. Like the tone is different, but I'm willing to give. Like I said, Rings of Power to me is stunning to look at. It's something I can really watch with my children. House of the Dragon I can't watch with my kids. There's too many like titties and sex and titties in this show, so I can't watch it with like. And my daughter loves Lord of the Rings. Like she watched all of the Lord of the Rings. She loved the elves, and then the first thing my daughter said to me, she was like, "Well, I ain't no black elves. What the black elves at?" My daughter is 8. It was like, there ain't no black elves. There ain't no brown elves, no nothing. So, my daughter was excited. She saw a brown elf and was like, what? And then she likes the dwarfs too. So she saw it. And the character everybody like is Disa. Is Disa, which is the prince of the dwarves, his wife. People loved her character, thought she was charming. I loved her character. She was so sweet and welcoming, and oh, well, she's just like a dwarf. What were you? So because I'm like, what were you expecting? Uh, oh yeah, Rings of Power is very much like a tour middler. It's like we're going here and then we're going here and then we're going here. I like it, and I'm not gonna pit House of the Dragon versus Rings of Power. Like people are like, let's pit them against. Like there's no need. There's no need. It's two different things. Yeah, House of Dragons. I should say House of Drama because it is like watching Succession. Um, But like I said, it gives me two different things. Like if I want to be swept away and taken to another land of Middle Earth, and I just want to see like a lot of good special effects and just high tone dialogue, and if I wanted that high fantasy, then to me Lord of the Rings is fits that need. And if I don't want to watch it with my kids, now if I want something like gritty and deep, House of Dragon is very gritty and dark. Like it is not like where you're like none of this is gonna end good for anybody. And spoiler alert, it's not. It's not gonna end well. Yeah, yeah. There's no need to pit two shows against each other because I enjoy each other in their own right. But but people are just like, well, House of the Dragon versus Lord of the. There's no comparison. Oh hey, there's Marsha. Oh hey, Marsha. What's up, Marsha? Yeah, I'm on my way to work. Actually, I'm at work right now, but I ain't getting out the car because, you know what? I'm tired, and it's been a long weekend, and I need to drink my coffee. So to hell with it. Well, a little bit, but yeah, I like to enjoy both shows for what they are. And like I said, it is deeply disturbing to me as somebody who is an OG in the sci-fi community. An OG, I'm an old head because I'm old. Like I've been going to conventions since I was 15. I'm a big Star Trek, Star Wars fan. That's my bread and butter. I like fantasy. I like everything like that, but it was shocking to me to see how much racism, like it's to the point where it like backed me off on going to the conventions. Like me and my kids, we dress up, we go to conventions. I've had people say stuff to me on here, and I'm just like, you don't even know me. Like I'm just like, what? Like, And I'm thinking, if I was a white male, would you be saying this stuff to me? Because again, I've been in these trenches. I've been in these streets, honey. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons at the age of 10. I was Stranger Things basically was my life. Like I was a nerdy kid. I read comics. I everything. I still love comic books. I still love comic book movies. I know a lot about a lot of different sci-fi comic book shit, and I like anime. I'm a fan of certain types of anime, and I like K-dramas. So I had people try to go at me and be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. What I'm talking about, I'm 46 fucking years old. I was at conventions when y'all were sitting in diapers talking about Goo Goo Gaga. Like, I was in conventions where we would go to conventions and literally there'd be like 50 people there. I went to the first Dallas Comic Con many, over 20 years ago. And so I went to the first Star Trek convention in Texas many years ago. Um, yeah, it's like, okay, black people do like comics. Black people have always liked it. We've always been in the shadows, us OGs. Like I said, I'm an old head. So for us OGs and old heads, um, it just, it just baffles us that we're like, but I never felt any kind of racism or ostracism in the community until this social media internet shit show up. I never felt. I've been to many conventions. I've been in Dungeons and Dragons groups when I was in my 20s. I've been in Star Wars Legions groups. I was a Trekkie and a Trekker. I've been part of all. I mean, when I say groups, I mean like we meeting at somebody's house or at a library once a month on a Saturday. Um, yeah, I've been like there's Renaissance fairs here. There's medieval times here. I I never felt like, okay, these people are hating on me because I'm black, and so it gives me a pause and a side eye for somebody who loves fantasy. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. Like, are you kidding me? And then there's so-called gatekeeping that I don't like. I don't like people who are like, I'm a fan and I know all of this, and so you casual fans, y'all don't count. The casual fans is what brings the numbers. The die-hard fans have to understand that they're going to have to share space with casual fans always with any IP through the dawn of time. Not everybody is going to know the lore. Not everybody is going to be reading all the books. Yeah, they do it to people of color and women. And as a woman who is a person of color, I again, it's like, okay, we get it. But the point is, if you want your IP to live, then you have to be in inclusion. There are so many writers out there that would love to have TV shows and movies and things of their art. There is no point. I tell people when it comes to fandom, I always see the bigger picture. I love C.S. Lewis, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. God knows I've seen all those movies. I didn't really like the movies, whatever. I saw all the movies. Oh, She-Hulk, yeah, the controversy over She-Hulk because she twerked at an end credit scene that I didn't even see. People were talking about it. I was like, what? There's no Meg Thee Stallion twerking in She-Hulk. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, it's the end credit scene. Okay, let me go back and watch. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. People lost their mind over what? She-Hulk. And then the people who don't even know the source material, She-Hulk was a sex symbol. She-Hulk was out partying at the club, girl. If they had twerking back in the 80s, She-Hulk would have been twerking back in the 80s. She-Hulk has always been a sexy character. She's driving and actively listening. Thank you. She-Hulk has always been a sexy character. So the idea that people have this revisionist history over She-Hulk, I'm like, girl, She-Hulk was at the club, talking about you can find me at the club. She-Hulk was tossing it up back in the 80s. She was always wearing bikinis and very aware of her sexuality. And She-Hulk has been written by different writers and different iterations. So the idea that She-Hulk twerking had people, I was like, what straight man would be upset with She-Hulk twerking? I don't understand. I don't know any man that would be. I'm not upset about that. Why would I be upset about that? What? Girl twerk song. I was like, get it, girl. I was like, go ahead. That's totally in line with She-Hulk's character. People like, well, no, we don't like that. Why? And then if you're not subscribing to Double Toasted, I'll be Double Toasted. I said the point is that straight men like sexuality if it's for them. If it's two women sitting around talking about sex, if it's two women sitting around twerking in front of each other, men don't like it. If She-Hulk was giving a dude a lap dance and she was twerking all over him, some people may have a problem with it, but then the men would be like, oh, well, they don't have a problem with it. But because it's two women and she's twerking, and it's not for men or being, whether she's in a vein of being objectified, then men have a problem with it. Men don't have a problem with women's sexuality as long as it's for them. And I said what I said because it's the truth. If you're strutting around for men, or you're trying to get a man, or you're trying to capture a man, or you dress in some way because you're trying to get a man, then men have no issue with that. But if you're a woman owning your own sexuality and you with your girlfriends are like, hey girl, drop it, and men are like, wait a minute, they're dropping it like it's hot, but they're not doing it for us. Yeah, because women like to drop it like it's hot, and we like to twerk. Sometimes I'm vacuuming my house and I'm twerking. I like to twerk when I'm vacuuming. Ain't no man around except for my cats, but they don't care about that. But yeah, I like, men only like it when it's for them, and that's crazy for me. As a woman who firmly owns her sexuality and who I am, which is me, I firmly own my sexuality. It's not for men. I don't do the things that I do and say the things that I say for attention or for men, because it's just my personality. I'm a sexual person. So, and I don't have any shame about my sexuality because I'm grown. I'm grown. But in the comic community, I'm like, are you kidding me? How many comics did I read in the 70s and 80s where all the female characters basically have a thong bikini on and two strips of cloth over their nipples? Come on now, y'all. Fuck out of here. Like, are you kidding the fuck out of here? Like, how many comic books where the men have outfits on and the women, I'm like, why she half naked? Why she half naked? Like, what she wearing, sis? What you doing? Oh, to my P Valley, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I love P Valley, by the way. But yeah, I'm like, how many comic books when you would watch when I would read Conan the Barbarian, um, or John Carter from Mars, and the covers, and Boris Vallejo, which is one of my favorite artists of all time. All these women were like in these tight things, and they boobs was out, and they had a sword, and they boobs was like this, and they were like, I got a sword, and then my boobs and a sword. I mean, and then the men were half naked too sometimes as well, but a lot in comic books, it was the women that all the female characters had overly large breasts, and they were overly muscular, and they were very gorgeous women. And men had no problem looking at that at all. But the moment, like, women are like, okay, I'm gonna be sexy because I want to be sexy. I want to be sexy because I'm feeling myself today, and it ain't got nothing to do with what these men looking at. Them men have a problem with it. I'm just like, y'all need to pick a struggle. Straight men pick a struggle, because, and then all these comic book nerds, I'm just like, you have a problem with Meg Thee Stallion and sexy She-Hulk, two sexy women, one green, one black, twerking for about 2 seconds, and they weren't even. Both of these women weren't half naked; they was fully clothed, twerking. They was full. I didn't even get to see She-Hulk dropping. I didn't get to see no booty shorts or nothing. I was like, where the booty shorts at? I can't see that. Move that jacket. Like, I was trying to see what she was working with, and people had a problem with that. And I'm like, but why? Well, it was tacky and tasteless. Well, it was corny, and they was trying to reach the kids. Twerking been around since 2005. Everybody twerks. Your grandmama twerk. Your mama be twerking. I see soccer moms, white soccer moms in soccer games, dropping it like it's hot with their flat asses. Come on now, stop playing with me today. I'm just like, that wasn't even really a twerk. It was more like a drop. Like, it was like a South Dallas drop, really. Yeah, I'm like, really, if you want to get down to it, was a South Dallas drop. It really wasn't a twerk. I'm just saying. People need to quit. But I'm like, it's like, I hate to be a part of a fandom that is so toxic, that is so overly misogynist and racist. And then I'm thinking, what happened? Because I don't remember it being this way. I was in a Dungeons and Dragons group with nothing but white dudes, and I never experienced any kind of misogyny, any kind of racism. I've been to many conventions. I'm going to a convention next month with my kids. I have only experienced welcoming arms and welcoming feelings of camaraderie Cause again, as being the only black girl in at a convention. I was at conventions when literally there was 3 black girls there, and I was the only one who was interested in the shit. The other 2 black girls was there with their friends, and they were their white boyfriends. I was the only single black female at a convention, dressed up when I was 30 years old, and I was the only one there. And people would kind of look like, okay, and then they'd be like, right on, a black girl who likes sci-fi. Oh my God, that's my dream. Our dudes would come up to me and talk to me and be like, oh my God, great costume. Can I take a picture with you? Can I get your picture? Sure, okay. I was like, do you like this? Do you like that? I'm like, yeah. It wasn't no thing. So the idea that I'm thinking about someone going to these conventions, were these motherfuckers racist all the whole entire time? Or is this these 30-year-olds? I have serious issues with 20 and 30-year-old fanboys. I have issues. Again, I'm 46. I'm an old head. I have issues. While I sat there and we were ostracized, all sci-fi fans, people thought we were crazy for reading comics. People thought we were crazy for playing Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my God, it's part of the devil. You're a devil. Just like in Stranger Things, my kids were like, did that really happen? Yeah, that really happened. People thought you were a devil worshiper because you played Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy games. People thought something was wrong with you. Why are you playing these games being wizards and magic and like, people would try to talk you out that shit. They like, don't do that. Don't watch that shit. Don't. Why are you into that? Why are you reading comic books? They thought you were a freak for doing stuff. So, and a double freak if you were a black girl. Imagine me being a black girl in the hood in the 80s, walking around with my X-Men, my jumbo X-Men, talking about Star Wars and science fiction and Conan the Barbarian, which I loved, and me talking about Lord of the Rings. So I don't need any motherfucker to tell me about any goddamn thing. Because, again, I didn't face it. Like, I didn't deal with it. I deal with black people who are like, you're weird. You like all that sci-fi shit. I deal with white people who are like, you're weird. You like all that sci-fi shit. So there's nothing nobody can say to me. Because those of us who are old, we made all of this shit possible. And social media and the internet. But if it wasn't for us getting together and starting conventions and us going to conventions. Again, I went to the first Dallas Comic-Con. I went to the first Star Trek convention here in Texas at the age of 14. And sat there, and I was one of the few black people I've met Michael Dorn, who played Worf in Star Trek, and got his autograph, and was there by myself. I remember my grandmother dropped me off, and I had no friends who wanted to go with me, but I met people there who were very welcoming and kind, and it was like, hey, come hang out with us. We're starting clubs, and I've started clubs and been an OG member of clubs and groups, so nobody can tell me anything. People talking about they fans of Lord of the Rings and bullshit. How old are you, 30? You were like 10 when Lord of the Rings, when the first movie came out? Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, you were 10? Have you read the books? Have you taken a college course on English literature? No, I have. Get the fuck out of here. Like, And then I tell people, let me tell you how the sausage is made. A lot of these people that have these channels, no matter whether they're sci-fi or whatever channel we're talking about, a lot of these people who you think know all these content have writers. Let me tell y'all how the sausage is made in these YouTube streets. When you get to a certain point, or even low-level channels that don't have that, a lot of these people have editors, have writers. They have people who provide the music for their channels. They don't even put their videos together. You have so-called experts on Star Wars, Star Trek, MCU, Lord of the Rings, all kinds of shit. Reality shows even, who have a team of people, have 3 or 4 people writing their videos. They don't know a motherfucking thing about nothing. A lot of these people got these lore videos and are supposed experts on Lord of the Rings. I'm like, okay, so what makes you an expert? Because you and a team of people create some lore videos and lore that you could look up, and I could do that if I had an editor, if I had the time and editor. They're basically going online, writing scripts, bringing up lore, putting some pictures behind it, and popping out videos every day, every other day, every week, whatever. And like, oh, I'm a J.R.R. Tolkien expert. Then when they go live, you ask them questions and they are like, oh, I gotta check on that. I'm not really not quite sure. Ooh, really? I thought this is a lore channel, but it doesn't seem like you really know a lot. Like, because they have writers, because they have editors, people who are writing this. Same thing about House of the Dragon, about Game of Thrones. There are people who are Game of Thrones experts because they've had channels on YouTube for a long time. But some of them really don't know the material. Some of them say they read the books. They read the books a long time ago. Some people are saying that they know about this. They read a long time ago. Some of the people who are writing stuff about certain shows and who are slamming Rings of Power. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all something else. I know somebody that has a Ring of Power, not a Ring of Power, but a J.R. Tolkien channel that slammed the show. But then before it even came out, because people have spoilers and rumors, and people go in there but the thing about it is, let me tell you how the sausage is made. Those videos that this person did, slamming the show, got a lot of views. He's actually watched the show and kind of liked the show. But of course he can't take it back. He can't walk that shit back. So it's like, I gotta keep putting out videos saying how much I hate this show, even though I really like it. How about that some shit, how sauce is made? Because I tell people, these people on YouTube, a lot of them, especially these high channels with a lot of viewers, they will literally put out hate videos and talk about stuff that they really don't hate. Like I said, I know at least 2 channels who have over 50,000 subscribers or more that talk about how much they hate Rings of Power, but they really like it. But they can't. But the videos that they understand, if they keep making videos saying they hate it, it's going to get a lot of views. That's the grift that I don't like. That's what I don't like. See, that's the disingenuousness that I don't like. On my channel, you will never hear me be like, oh, I love this, and oh, I love that, or oh, I hate this, and oh, I hate that. And really deep down inside, I'm just trying to get clicks and views. But that's how the YouTube game is played. Like hate and saying that you don't like something gets more clicks and views because human beings are overwhelmingly negative fucking people. Human beings are negative creatures. We're awful fucking things. And so hate and negativity gets clicks and views. So regardless of whether you hate it or not, again, Rings of Power, it's a failure. I'm like, are you going to walk back that video since it got 25 million views? House of the Dragon is going to be disastrous. Are you going to walk that back now since it's the highest debut ever on HBO, ever? Oh, no? Oh, you ain't got nothing to say about that. The video you just made like 2 months ago saying this show is going to be a disaster. And now, well, I don't believe the 25 million. Okay, so now we're moving the goalposts. Now we don't believe the numbers. Now, okay, well, the numbers came out. Well, just wait till, and then if the third episode gets a whole bunch of viewers, then what? We're going to keep moving the goalposts? Same thing about Wheel of Time. I like Wheel of Time. There are people who are like, oh, I don't like Wheel of Time. It is horrible. Honey, it was like the #1 rated show for the longest time. And Wheel of Time, I read the book after I saw the show. Same thing with The Witcher. I like The Witcher too. But people will try to backtrack, and then all the haters for Wheel of Time, now they like suddenly got quiet. So I'm waiting for the Rings of Power haters just kind of like, y'all just go away. Just go away. Like the House of the Dragon ones. Because y'all look stupid. Before the show even came out, before they even seen it, they was like, this is going to be a disaster. You can hate watch if you want to, but that's still just bringing money to Amazon. Like, well, people are hate watching. 25 million people hate watching worldwide. Again, United States. You're not the world. There are people watching this who have no idea. I have people who watch Lord of the Rings, who watch Rings of Power, that don't get on YouTube. They don't get on Twitter. I keep telling people the internet is not real life. It's not. There are tons of people worldwide who are not on social media, who don't care about what people say on social media. There's people who like the show. Then there's people who are making reviews saying that they like the show, or they gave it a 6 out of 10, or 7 out of 10, or 8 out of 10. Then people are blasting them. Okay, but when you go on the internet and you blast them, that just brings up, y'all can blast this video, but y'all can say whatever you want to say. That just brings my algorithm up. So you can dislike it, you can like it, you can comment, you can say whatever. The more you interact with my video, the more it's going to make my views come to my challenge. So y'all can go ahead. Yes, I wish, some complaints that I've heard from certain people that Rings of Power is slow. But J.R.R. Tolkien is slow. I tell people it's a slow read. I might tell people, have you read Lord of the Rings? Because it is, my God, today. And like when it was written 60 years ago, it was probably exciting. But we live in a world of social media and things are faster and we're used to like fast paced shows. So, it's slow. It is slow. It is slow. Hopefully it'll pick up, with the third episode, but in a world of Game of Thrones where we're used to like, now we're used to like actions but Game of Thrones, let me tell you, people are complaining about the last scene with Daemon Targaryen with the wonderful Matt Smith, which people was hating on. I supported. I said, y'all don't sleep on Matt Smith. Matt Smith was Doctor Who, baby. Matt Smith was Skynet. Y'all was sleeping on, I don't know how Doctor Who is going to play Daemon Targaryen. I'm like, shut the fuck up. This man. Stacey Dash is getting what? I didn't even get to read it. It just says Stacey. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh, she just found out that DMX passed. Girl, she like a year late. Girl, DMX dead. Girl, what? Yeah, not everybody. I tell everybody not plugged in. I'm on Twitter, okay, but I don't go on Twitter and read shit on Twitter. Like I get on YouTube. There's YouTube channels I subscribe to and I like, but that's as far as it goes. Damon is the MVP. But the idea that like people really thinking that this is real life. I have a whole life. Like I tell people, y'all need to get a whole life. Like I have work, I have kids, I have businesses to run. I don't have time to be getting on here watching YouTube videos about whether somebody likes a show or not. And people really think because they got 500,000 subscribers. Again, I tell people really because I'm gonna tell you another thing. You can buy subscribers. Let me say it again. You can buy subscribers. Oh, came on TikTok crying. Girl, she late. Yeah, I'm not even on TikTok. TikTok is annoying to me. My kids are not allowed on social media. They allowed YouTube and that's it. I don't, Facebook is for my family and friends and like my relative people I know. But I don't do social media like that. I'm not plugged into the matrix like that because I think social media is very damaging. I tell my kids that all the time. They'll repeat it. My kids will tell you. My mom says there's studies done and social media is very damaging. So in so many different ways, mentally, emotionally, people thinking that social media is the world. People think that TikTok is the world. It's not. I tell people it's not. There are people watching TV shows and doing things that have nothing to do with, they have no influence with social media whatsoever. People think because this person's a YouTube star, everybody I know who are in their 40s and 50s is like, who? Who is that? Oh, this YouTube person, everybody's heard of them. Sure, you having a conversation with Gio how people can buy subscribers? Yeah. There are some people that have 300,000, I know certain channels that have 30, 40, 50,000 subscribers, and then when they go on live, there's literally like 20 people on their lives. Yeah, buying subs and followers has been a thing for a long time. So I tell people, just because you think a person has a lot of subscribers, you don't know where people have bought them. There's whole services where they add subscribers like real ones that aren't bots, but the people just create YouTube channels and they create thousands of YouTube channels and then they'll subscribe you. There's whole services that do that. Now YouTube has been trying to catch these people, but some of these people that have like that been on YouTube. Now there are people like I have a friend that's been on YouTube literally for 10 years. So his 300,000 subscribers are legit. He's been out in these YouTube streets. But there are people on YouTube channels that are 2 years, 3 years old. And they have 50, 60, 70,000 subscribers in 3-4 years. Right. And then like I said, when you see their videos, the likes don't match the subscribers. Yeah. The views and the likes don't match the subscribers. Or when they go on live, it doesn't add up. They don't have that many people on live. So I find that very strange, and I'm just like, that's a little suspect, So yeah, so just because a channel has a lot of people, a lot of subscribers or what it says subscribers, doesn't mean that it's legit. And like I said, and just because a person has nice, pretty graphics and videos, it don't mean they made it. They have editors and graphic people. They have a friend, or they may have went to college themselves for editing and doing video. They may have went to school for that, so they know how to do that, right? And so again, I tell people, these people who are so-called quote unquote experts on certain shows or experts on certain IP, and you got people who do videos about comic books and stuff, and they barely read comics. But that's what they have Marvel channels. Yes, anyone that started within 3 years. If you've been here a long time, then yes. But anybody that started 3 or 4 years ago and you have 30, 50, 60,000 people, I don't, you're faking it. Anybody that has a YouTube channel talking about they're expert on romance or lore or anything like that, how many editors do you have? Who's writing your scripts? I had my friend throw shade. Teflon, House of Teflon. If you're not watching Teflon TV, that's a great community, the community I belong to. He used to do an after dark show I used to be on. That's how I got the name Infamous Kiki, because of all the crazy shit I used to say. But I tell people, yeah, like Tony Teflon was throwing shade at people who have editors and writers in the Game of Thrones community, who are quote unquote book experts. Honey, you literally went on Wikipedia. I know people that got videos that I can go to Wikipedia and almost word for word, they're taking it from Wikipedia. They're going on websites and literally taking scripts and just rearranging some of the words, rewriting it, and like they know so much about comics, anime, Game of Thrones, whatever. Honey, anybody can be an expert on anything. There are people got whole history channels that all they doing is just taking shit off the internet and putting cute little videos and graphics and sound behind it. But they're a history channel. So like I said, all this fandom gatekeeping is bullshit. All these people who get invited to these premieres and everything because they know people on the inside, and these people because they have 100,000 subscribers, and they went to the premiere of this show, or they got screeners, and they got all that stuff, not because because they're so much a higher fan than someone else, because they have connections, because they have a large following, because these shows want to get it out there to the highest following. Yeah, I'm a Google expert too. So I'm like understand, like I peep, like people really watching this shit, taking it seriously. And I'm like, I didn't peep game a long time ago. I like to watch the lore videos. I like to watch the channels where they're breaking down things. I like that. But then I understand that a lot of shit people are breaking down. I'm just like, I would go online and be like, wait a minute. This is on this video. This is almost word for word, but this motherfucker didn't say it. Yeah, right. And I respect the hustle. Don't get me wrong. I respect the hustle. I'm not knocking the hustle. But, I mean, I just don't like the fact that some of these people, not all of them, are the ones who are high and mighty about the shit. Who are like, Game of Thrones should be this, and George R.R. Martin shouldn't have any black people on it, and because this text says this and this and this, and I'm just like, yeah, but you don't even write your own channel, dude. Like, bro, like you ain't write your own channel. Who gives you the authority? I'm not the authority on anything. And I tell people, like what you like. I don't need people to like the same shit that I like, or I need to verify and make sure that everybody else like it. You like it, I like it. Well, you don't like it, well, I don't like it no more. I don't need to get online and be like, well, I need to read great reviews about this in order for me to like something or feel good about liking something. I like the shit that I like. Yeah, you get in the comments, start debunking people real quick. I like what I like, and then you can't take that away from me. You can't say nothing to me. You can't make me feel some type of way because, well, I don't like Rings of Power, and J.R.R. Tolkien said save it. I don't care. I know what the script says. I don't care. I like adaptations. I like people, writers and showrunners taking things a different direction. I don't want to watch a show where I've read the book and I'm like, this is finna happen, check. That's finna happen, check. What's the fun in that? That I know everything that's fixing to happen in House of the Dragon. I've read House of the Dragon. If they went by everything that was in the books, I'd be bored. Where's the surprise? Why am I watching it for? I don't want a teleplay of the fucking book. This is not Shakespeare. This is not Romeo and Juliet. This is not Othello. I don't want to watch a play of something that's written. I want to watch an adaptation. An adaptation mean they change things up, switch things up a little bit. I want to be entertained. I want to be surprised. I want to be titillated. I want to see what the actors do. I want to see the locations visually. Visual medium is different than a book medium. It's two different things. So, and then if, like I said, people are just, I heard people writing comments like, well, people don't like this show and everybody's saying that they like it and they don't. I said, stop. Who gives a shit? Like what you like. If you like She-Hulk, fucking watch. If you like She-Hulk and you want to see her twerking CGI ass, I don't need my favorite YouTuber to like it too for me to feel good about it. I tell people I had to raise my kids a whole new way because to me these 30 and 20-year-olds are lost generation. They lost. Like the way, and then people are so angry about not liking things. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Move the fuck on. Let us who enjoy it talk about it, how much we enjoy it, how much we liking it. People are like, well, that's your opinion. If you don't like it, don't watch it. I said, you know what, back in the day, I don't like everything sci-fi. I don't like everything fantasy. Guess what? I don't come on and do YouTube videos about how much I hate this IP or how much I hate this show or I don't like Andor. Like Star Wars, I love Star Wars. The Mandalorian, I was iffy on, but I love it. Boba Fett, I was iffy on, I love it. I didn't like Obi-Wan. I'm not going to come over here and make 10 videos about how I didn't like Obi-Wan. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was alright. Andor. I didn't like, spoiler alert, I didn't like Rogue One. Everybody's like, oh, Rogue One. I fucking hated Rogue One. I didn't like Solo. I didn't like them last 3 Star Wars. Am I still a Star Wars fan? Oh, absolutely. Was it made for me? No, Rogue One is made for people who like ships and espionage and all that bullshit. I don't like that. I like Jedis, okay? I'm a Jedi. So, but I'm not going to drag it. It's not made, not everything Star Wars has to be made for me. As a diehard Star Wars fan who read the expanded universe, who read the books and the comics and all that shit that's not canon anymore that pissed me off, the last 3 Star Wars movies wasn't made for me. My kids love Kylo Ren and Rey. Hey, they loved it. I like the prequels. I like the originals. I'll defend the prequels till I die because I stood in line for the prequels. I didn't like the last 3 movies. I did not like it at all. Yeah, I like just Jedi shit. I'm a Jedi snob. Fuck y'all. Fuck with me. Fuck with me. You know I got it. I like Jedis. Andor, everyone's like, oh, Andor looks great. Andor don't look good to me. I understand you talking about the rebellion and all that. That looks boring to me. Oh, Jedi's in it? Man, I don't care about what the hell his face is. That, no disrespect to the actor. He's a good looking guy. But I don't give a damn about the Rogue One people. Cassie and Andor, give a damn. Boring. Like, that look boring to me. But I'm not going to get on here and make 5 videos about how Andor looks stupid and how Star Wars is failing. Right, the end scene when Vader came out there like a motherfucking boss, he was like, choke. I was like, by damn time, I'm sitting in the movie theater like, shit, this boy, oh shit. Darth Vader didn't choke motherfuckers out. Holy shit. Somebody call my mama. Somebody call my mama. Somebody call Padme from the grave. I was excited. Yeah, if it's not a Jedi story, I'm not really interested. But a lot of people like the villains and the rogues and all that. I don't. Nah, not me. I'm good, sis. I'm good on that. But I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan. And like I said, not everything Star Wars is for me. Mandalorian, I was not excited about the Mandalorian. And I fell in love with it because of Grogu, because of Baby Yoda. But again, I see sci-fi is different because I see it through my kids' eyes. So I get excited because my kids are excited. My kids get excited over shit. My kids are like, they get excited. My son is obsessed with Jedis and lightsabers. Like, that's because of their mama. My daughter loves anime. That's because of their mama. I get excited to see things through the eyes of my kids, the way they see it. It's for another generation. I tell people all the time, my last point before I go, as a fan, I want what I like to continue to the next generations. I understand that my taste as a 46-year-old is going to be different than the taste of a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old. I just get that. I understand that. But I don't want what I like to die. Same thing with Rings of Power. Game of Thrones is probably here to stay for a long time. But I'm gonna die one day, okay? I'm gonna get old and I'm decrepit and die. There's no point, like I said, with me being an artist and a writer, right? There's no point of me creating something that nobody sees. Yeah, to me, Star Wars is the best when they focus on Jedi. But I'm saying there is no point. There's no point at all of creating something, writing something, me doing art, for it to sit up in my fucking house, on my wall going, ooh, that's pretty, that's nice. What is the point? There's no point of having Lord of the Rings, all the writings by J.R.R. Tolkien. There's no reason to have all of that if it dies. You have to adapt or die. And there's no way as a fan do I want to like something and I want to like it the way I like it, but then I don't want it to be changed so much that nobody else likes it. And that's just a reality when you're dealing with stuff written 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. Like C.S. Lewis, like I was saying before, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I love C.S. Lewis. My kids don't know who the fuck C.S. Lewis is. They're not required to read it in school like I did. They're not, it's not something they studied. They haven't seen the movies. The movies came out a long time ago. I didn't really like those movies. It was okay. The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe was okay. Because you be in the, I don't be in the clubs either. But, so you have to introduce, like C.S. Lewis, they're going to have to do something with that. They're either going to have to create, because there's so many writers out there that their writing is dead. Like Octavia Butler, God knows, if you have not read Octavia Butler, please read her. I love Afrofuturism. I love all that shit. But if they don't make a TV show or movie of her stuff, my kids are going to grow up and not know who the hell Octavia Butler is. My kids are going to grow up and not know who the hell C.S. Lewis is. My kids will not know who the hell J.R.R. Tolkien was unless it was for the damn Lord of the Rings movies. That was 20 years ago. As my kids become older, they're going to need new things out there to get them interested. The next generation needs to be interested to keep it going. Not just monetarily. Yes, I'm sure that his family wants this to go because they like, shit, we need to milk this cash cow for what it's worth. I ain't mad at them. But they also need to keep it going just for fandom's sake. There's no sense of me being in a fandom with 100 people. If you want the fandom to grow and expand and to include more people and keep going after you're gone, then you can't think in selfish terms. If you don't like something, don't watch it. Again, I will love Star Wars to the day I die. Is everything for me? No, everything is not for me. Everything is not for me. MCU, I don't like them Ant-Man and the Wasp movies. I'm not interested in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm a diehard X-Men fan. I'm just holding my breath and crossing my fingers for an X-Men movie or a TV show. I will watch some of the shows. I'm a Loki fan. I love the Loki show. I'm a diehard Loki fan. But the idea that everything has to be for me, I don't like something, so oh my God, I'm not a fan. It's still out there. Star Wars is still there. Star Wars, it will be out there as long as people will still keep continuing to watch it. But I want to bring new generation in. I want to bring new ideas, new writers, new blood. George Lucas is still alive, but he sold the rights over, so people mad at Disney. Get over it. I'm sure George Lucas is like, oh, I don't like that. Hey, fellas. It's me, George Lucas. And, I'm sure if he had something to say, he'd probably like, I don't particularly like that. Or I do like certain things. But it is. Fantastic Beasts. My kids love Harry Potter. Fantastic Beasts film, they were bored. I've read every Harry Potter book. I've seen all the movies. The Fantastic Beasts, I saw that first one. The last two, not for me. If somebody enjoyed it, somebody liked it, do you, boo? Not for me. The Fantastic Beasts shit was not for me. It was not for me. So, I just saying that fandom, you can't be so much of a snob and a gatekeeper to where you're alienating people and then your shit doesn't survive. Like, there's no point in that. The point is to keep it going. So that's all I gotta say. You have to keep it going. And you can't just have a vision, have a headcanon of what you think should be. Oh, I think it should look like this. Okay, that's your opinion. Then write your own fan fiction and do your own films. That's all I can say. Do your own films. I mean, do your own animation. There's whole animation systems out there and things where you can do your own animation. So do you? If you think you can write something better than Rings of Power or George R. R. Martin, hey, you don't have to have actors. You can animate it. There's whole programs you can easily get together with other people, collaborate, and create your own fan fiction. Or just ignore it and be like, I'm just gonna pretend it doesn't exist. I don't like it. I'm just gonna get back doing what I was. Yeah, fandoms is their own blessing and curse. I agree. Because when you alienate so many people, you turn people off with racist bullshit, with gatekeeping bullshit. A lot of people are like, okay, well, I'm not even going to watch that because these people are fucking crazy. I don't want to be part of that. Even I don't want to be part of that. For somebody that's an OG, I'm like, do I want to be part of the toxic ass Star Wars fandom that's taken over? And the people that have taken over are like 25 years old. Didn't I've seen every Star Wars movie in the theaters. Everyone, except for the well, no, wait, except for the first one. I didn't see the original one, but everyone after that I've seen. When the original came out, I was too little. I was still a toddler, but I've seen all the movies in the theaters. So let's tell you how old I am. So even I saw Empire Strikes Back as a kid, and so like you people who are gatekeeping who weren't in the trenches with us. So I said stop it, get help. They argue amongst them about Halloween films. Lord have mercy, no Jesus, not in the horror community too. See, I'm not in the horror. Horror stuff made me scared, but that's sad in the horror community. But anyway, y'all, I'm finna get to work. My phone is about to die. Like, share, subscribe, share this video. Thank you for what pulls my teeth in Marshall for y'all coming on here and providing some great discussion. I'll do more lives. If I have other people to talk to, then I will do more lives. Even though, today, like I said, I look busted today. Like, look at me, y'all. Look at me. I'm wearing my work shirt. I just, look at me. Look at me. No, 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 no. Anyway, my phone's about to die. Anyway, y'all have a great day. I may be back tomorrow. I don't know. It just depends on how angsty I feel. But, and talk more about these House of the Dragon and YouTube streets. Anyway, bye.